Never mind.
It's Pepsi.
Pepsi. Oh, Pepsi. God, you shut your mouth, Kyle. You're
fired. Here's a link. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the manufacturer recommended coolant. Use that. If you are having an issue with, and you guys can check it out, it's on the buying guide, lasereverything.net/buying guide.
Yeah, I was literally to say, do you have the link to the Mandalorian knife?
I don't have a link to it, but I'm sure.
Not the Mandalorian, the Space Traveler knife.
Space Traveler.
Like, yeah, no problem, man. I got you $8. I see you recording. I see you recording. Never catch me, motherfucker. Hi, everybody. But yeah, so $8 for a wedding band.
Welcome to Laser Source Podcast.
There you go, boys. Voice has got under control. That's a very silky. Is that as silky as it looks, man? Is that like Under Armour material?
It's just a dry fit. It's my work shirt.
It's a schmedium.
Schmedium.
I have to wear black to work. So.
Wait a minute. Hey, boys, ask Alex for a cigarette real quick.
He's not smoking. You don't have a cigarette.
Just ask him.
Can I have a cigarette?
Right? Like you can see Boyce in his like prime asking for a cigarette at a bar. Like,
me, him.
For more of that, check out emergency.net. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Laser Source Podcast, the #1 podcast. If you have questions about lasers, we're here to help. We're here to chat. We've got some news. We've got some updates. We did some things. So I guess we'll start with that. I do want to just quick shout out to everybody here in the live chat today. Thank you so much for joining us for the live show. If you're listening to the recording of this, remember you can catch the live show on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at 9 to 9:30, depending on the day, p.m. EST on Tuesdays. But for right now, we've got, let's see, Robert's in the chat here, Willie, Vince, Cuban Cracked, definitely becoming a regular, Laura, as always, Anthony, as always, what's up, Scientific Duo, Don Glasscock, E2 Laser, Keith Boardley, Jack, we got all kinds of people here, Moss is back, Sargon Tavor, what's up, guys, Mike C. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. We always appreciate you coming to kick it with the boys for a little bit. Miranda says, Twitter since when? Just out of the loop. Since always.
Always. I haven't mentioned this publicly yet, but everybody knows I got the Afterburner from LightObject. Well, I've been
just really quick. What is that for people that missed it? Just in case, because we do have
the Afterburner is basically the non-half-ass answer to leaving your laser in a uninsulated and cold place, and it heats the liquid as it runs through the system essentially. Right. So if your chiller is set to keep it below, I don't know what the Celsius equivalent of like 70 degrees Fahrenheit is, but
20.
Let's call it 22, 20,
11,
whatever.
7, orange.
That's physics, boys.
Right. You set the chiller to keep it above freezing. So something like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be like, I think 15 or 16 C. So it just keeps the heat in the liquid so that the ambient temperature doesn't freeze the liquid, and you keep the chiller on just as a circulator for now, because the generation of Afterburner I have does not have its own pump. Well, I've been testing the Afterburner in my garage with a little aquarium pump, and just a bucket of water. So it's been sitting out there all winter, I've had a bucket of water in my uninsulated frozen garage, and it's been doing great. How long does it take for a laser to become like pond water?
I've had the same water in mine for 3 years, never changed it, never put anything in it, and it's crystal clear.
In a perfect world, it remains a sealed system. And if it starts to look nasty, like, you should be checking it every so often to make sure your water level is still good, because silicone can leach water through it over time. So
it would be impossible to make it like a perfectly closed system without it becoming an extremely expensive project, well, right? So
I've had the Mira for less than a year, like maybe 9 months maybe. I just put in maybe like 4 more cups of water, because it was, it started towards the high end of that little leveler on the back of the Miras, had that little yellow, green, red, whatever. And mine started getting on the lower end of that. I just filled it back up to the top end of the yellow, That's in 9 months. I put in like a couple cups of water, and that's it.
Yeah.
Distilled water.
So that's for two reasons too. One, distilled water it's less conductive. It has the minerals are removed. So you're reducing the amount of
particulate.
It's less conductive. So when you have 10,000 volts going through your laser tube, it's less likely to arc or cause a problem. It's just better. It also means there's less minerals that can create issues. If you have like well water, there are some minerals that might not react well to whatever the metal is inside the laser tube or used in the chiller. So there's just a lot of reasons to do that. It's the same reason why you just don't want to take off the shelf coolant that you would put in a car and just dump it into your cooling system, because it's not a friendly thing to put into every piece of equipment. It's not good for the laser tube a lot of the time for a lot of them. Not a blanket statement, but distilled water is the right move. And that's the reason why I was testing the Afterburner. So
I mean, at the end of the day, that's the manufacturer recommended coolant. Use that. If you are having an issue with, and you guys can check it out, it's on the buying guide, lasereverything.net/buying guide. If you have an issue with keeping your laser from freezing in the winter, pick up something like the Afterburner. The Afterburner is really great, as Kyle was mentioning, because it will warm the water. And what it does is the chiller never actually kicks in because it's freezing. It's freezing in your garage or wherever your laser is. So it's just acting as a pump, and you can set the Afterburner to heat it just under or over the threshold of the chiller's thermostat. So the chiller is never actually chilling. So you're not wasting any energy on the compressor. It's just moving that liquid through the system, and the Afterburner is keeping it warm enough not to freeze while it's circulating. And that works really well. If you do that with distilled water, a couple capsules of bleach, it's going to last as long as you could want it to. Boys, are you using bleach? Laura wants to know.
No.
Are you going to?
Now that I've heard about it, yes.
Good.
I've been doing that here in the next
not a ton. Not a ton. It doesn't take a ton.
Capfuls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not pouring. There's no pouring.
So,
by the way, one more thing to consider too is if you're in the South, or if you're not in one of these, like all these guys are where it's freezing and things are cold. But if you're in the South and you have your system out in the heat, like that was one of my biggest concerns is when I had no air conditioning in the garage yet, the heat with the liquid. I mean, that's like a breeding ground for bacteria and stuff to grow. So that was always one of my biggest concerns. And you always like just check the flow. Like, by the way, you just open, take a look at your tube as it's flowing and see. It's not a hard thing. So if you're not sure what we're talking about, you literally open the cover of your tube, stand back, kind of take a look at it, wear your glasses if you're afraid to, that kind of thing, and literally just watch the liquid flowing through the secondary tubing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually gonna make this. I got some
bartenders.
I got some jiggers for bartending.
Alex and Michael just did one where they had the funnel the other day pouring in like the boiling hot water into the chiller from LightObject. That was cool.
A good video. I want to see boys do that though. I want them with the vest and the bow tie. Like doing flips and shit.
I don't have a bow tie or a vest.
Not yet. Amazon, bro. Amazon.
How do you not have either of those things?
I don't go to whatever the requires that shit, I guess. I don't know.
You literally look like a male stripper to me. Like, I guarantee you, if you go and look in your closet, look on Diana's side. Look on Diana's side of the closet. I guarantee you, she has a little white collar and a little black bow tie hanging on a rack, and she just hasn't given it to you yet.
True, it's possible.
It's definitely possible.
Laser questions. God. We have them.
Oh, do we? I don't know. I thought we were here to entertain people today.
First, we have a couple of comments I want to talk about.
Yeah, I love this one. Yeah. I program industrial laser markers for a medical device company. Dope. One of the largest medical device companies. And you wouldn't believe how many times I have to reference something from a video of yours. And there's a follow-up, dude, right here to prove a point to people I work with. Good content over here. Thanks, Austin. We appreciate that, man.
Thanks, man.
Now, the next real question's from Willie.
Hey, why would a Rakis 30 watt work copper? No problem. But a JPT 50 watt, not even touch it. Same laser system, just a new laser source works great with everything else.
What lens size are you using? Did you change the lens size?
Yeah, did you change? That's a great question.
Frequency, maybe?
Oh, he says, yes, same lens size, everything, just a new laser source.
I know.
The frequency could be different. Yeah.
The rakises also have a different pulse duration,
Right.
and it's fixed on both. So neither are a true MOPA, and you can't change it. But the JPTs sit around 200 nanoseconds on their pulse duration. The rakises sit more like in the 150 to 180 range, and it varies depending on the frequency you have set.
I think the 30 watt might be even lower than that.
Yeah, so you need to find your peak pulse output power, which is the frequency at which your machine outputs the most power, and use that. So it's a little nitty gritty. It might be a better question for the LMA because it might require a little back and forth, but if you have it available and you want to check that, we can swing back around and look at that for you. I'd like to know what settings you're trying to mark the copper with, because the pulse duration could do that.
First question, by the way.
Okay, cool.
So Resin Dragons Studio says, hate to be the first person to ask the first question, but can someone explain how or why the laser pecker can say it's a fiber laser when really it's an IR laser? Or am I misunderstanding something?
So I think that, okay, it's not, I don't think, I haven't opened one. Okay, this is speculation on my part as an outside observer. Let me just say that. I don't know any of this for fact. I'm speculating. I need to say that very clearly. I don't think that they fit a fiber laser into those laser peckers. I think that they're IR diodes pumping some kind of smaller scale infrared laser, and I don't know how they have it set up. I doubt it's a fiber laser, and I think what this really comes down to is marketing. I think it's you know what a fiber laser is, and it's harder to market an IR laser that's not a fiber laser, and everybody knows that fiber lasers mark metal, so they're just...
If you say galvanometer, if you say a Galvo laser, people are going to be confused, but fiber they might know. And the other thing is there a fiber optic cable? Is the question, because I think that's pretty much what makes it, right?
The other piece of that too is fiber is inherently in the infrared wavelength band. So 1064 is infrared, which is also partially why marking red things is a pain in the tush.
Right.
But when you're looking at something that emits that same wavelength, whether it completely fits the normal description of what we would call a fiber laser kind of falls into potentially marketing terminology for them. So
that's exactly it.
We don't know.
I don't. Maybe there is. Maybe in somewhere inside that tiny little box, there's an itty bitty tiny little fiber optic cable coiled up and being pumped by diodes. I don't know.
Diode. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I doubt it. So I think it's probably a misnomer at best and skeevy marketing at worst. So
I think that that's they key in on the demographic because think about Google searches and how those things work, and when that pops up, because a lot of people are like, I can't spend $2,500, I can't spend $3,000, and then magically here comes this laser pecker for what is it? I don't even know what they are. 1,500.
For the record, I asked for one of those and they won't send it to me.
So, well, there you go. So we don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer, and I'm not buying it with cash because.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's what they're doing. I think the skeevy marketing, maybe not skeevy, but they're just, they're looking at
worst.
people.
Yeah. Misnomer at best.
All right.
And also, Resin, side note for you, please ask the first question every time as early as possible, because whenever we start the podcast, I sweat until people start asking questions.
If you didn't notice, we were talking about Boyce wearing a tuxedo tie, dancing to my background music of.
Wait, I want to say something about Resin Dragons.
Go for it.
If you guys don't see them on TikTok, you gotta check them out. They have some really fucking quality content on there. There's really cool shit they do over there, man.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Really cool stuff.
All right. So this one is from Colton. I'm new to fiber lasers. I haven't even received the one that I bought yet. But my question is, how do you make sure your design is to the scale you need it before framing? So I think they're talking about if you were making a knife, like an outline.
I'm going to let Kyle answer probably the better part of this question. But before any of that, I'm going to just say, when you first get your fiber laser, make sure that you follow one of the crash courses, whether using EasyCAD or LightBurn for Galvo. Make sure you do one of them, because during that process, you're going to go through lens correction adjustments and timing adjustments that are going to make sure that things like your red light laser and your scale of your workspace and the distance that the laser is traveling all kind of equal out and are accurate and true to real world size. And if you don't do any of those things first, nothing Kyle is about to talk about will matter. Please do that, and that will kind of dial you in physically to the real world. And then from there, Kyle has more experience than me actually chopping graphics to make things scale. What do you have to suggest on that front, Kyle?
I have a physical thing to show you.
Ooh,
so this is actually a windproof lighter jig that I just bashed out 2 weekends ago.
Thanks for not making me bleep you.
Yeah. And I knew that was coming. But basically how I got there was you can start by taking a top-down photo, and you want to make sure it's straight on, it's top down, because if you try and take a picture of it pointing forward like it's in front of you, now you have to worry about skewing angles and weird stuff. Do yourself a favor, make sure it's top down, put it down on a flat surface, take a photo straight down at it. And you want to make sure that it's in the center of your lens, especially if you're using like your camera on your phone, because it helps avoid kind of that fisheye stretch that you tend to get when you're using a wide angle lens. And once you have a photo of the orientation that you want to engrave or make a jig out of, it's kind of the same process. You can drag it into LightBurn or AI or whatever software you want, and you can start creating vector lines. Use the line tool and just start dragging around, connecting points as to where you want the engraved surface to be. If you're engraving a coin, you can use the circle tool, find the center and drag out. And if you're off by a little bit, you can resize it by holding control. And if you're doing a knife, you can just create the lines around the edge, and you can grab the center of the line using the editing tool in LightBurn or in AI and put a curve on that line. Now that you have that, and it's all connected, you now have an outline, and you can put that as a toolpath, and you can use it for aligning graphics. You can use it to mask your graphics. You can use it in a lot of different ways. Matt, did you want to add something?
I was going to say, I was literally to say, do you have the link to the Mandalorian knife?
I don't have a link to it, but I'm sure.
Not the Mandalorian, the Space Traveler knife.
Space Traveler.
It's a great walkthrough, because I literally used it to do something similar on one of mine. It was one of the lives too. Friday live.
It was a live. It is a little long, so if you're bored and you want to just kind of feel your way through the process, but a lot of the design portion of that, where I did the outline, it literally took maybe a minute and a half to do the outline portion of it. And then I kind of fumbled my way through, because one of the features for engraving photos where I wanted auto angle adjustment was removed actually because of an issue. Then I ended up masking it, tracing it, and doing it that way.
What is the best extraction system for Galvos, guys? Says Randy Meter.
I don't
centrifugal
buying guide.
First of all, buying guide. Second of all, extractors are sketchy. Exhaust is much better. So
that was my answer.
I'm gonna kind of add on to that too when you're done.
Yeah, no, go nuts. I'm done.
I was gonna say, so when you're using an extractor, you need to be careful, because now you're using filters and relying on those filters to remove the particles that you're now putting a force of air behind. And if it doesn't extract all those particles, you're just blowing them into the room freely that you're breathing air in. If you're aware of how the body works and how the lungs deal with metal particles and inorganic materials and foreign objects, they don't go anywhere after they're in there. They're just in there for life, and it causes problems. So if you're going to do an extraction system, you need to make sure you maintain it and it's functioning as it should, and it's filtering what it's supposed to.
And that's what I was going to say. And the fact that it is not a one-time purchase, it's a purchase and upkeep purchase, because those filters, when they're done, they're done. And Michael talks about that. He did a really cool video on the emergency laser engraving, right?
Laser engraving 911.
Emergency
stop.
Engraving.
International?
Oh, God, it's an emergency. Turn on your shit and engrave.
So funny.
Laser engraving 911. I'll actually grab a link to that video.
I was going to say, but Michael did a great video talking about like the ones that start here on the price point range of like $200 or $300 all the way up to, I think he had like a $5,000 one they sent him. Yeah. And it was really good video. The other thing is two things I saw because of this question. One thing I saw on the Facebook group this week is someone saying, no, it wasn't Facebook. It was in the Discord. Someone was like, I really underestimated the power of the fumes when I'm using a fiber laser. yeah, it makes smoke because you're shooting fire at stuff. Please make sure the guy didn't even have an exhaust for it. He was just. By the way, the other thing that's going to mess up is your lens because it's literally the smoke rises directly to its point of, it just goes up. So you're messing up your lens, you're messing up your lungs. It's really bad. And on top of that, you're not going to get a good engrave because the light's traveling through opaque smoke. Yep. So it's bad all around. Yep. So get exhaust. And then if you need the extraction too.
I would use an extractor if you literally the only place you can operate a laser is like a 5 foot by 5 foot room with no windows. And you have to do it. And you absolutely have to do it. Then an extractor makes sense. The other time an extractor might make sense, I would say, is outdoors. If you're at an event or some kind of trade show or craft fair or town
Most of those people wouldn't let you into them without some type of
and that
exhaust.
That would be another good reason to use one because you're outdoors, your air is constantly being refreshed. But if there's literally any window, any port, any hole that you can cut, anything that you can do to go from extraction to exhaust, I highly recommend you do that.
Can you, Voice, can you move your camera at all to show your window right there? Voice literally has, I think, one of the most simple. Yeah.
There's that.
Bam.
Window.
There it is.
And it's gone. Yeah. Get it out.
So, yeah. And again, when you're looking at extractor systems, they're consumables. You're talking about multiple filters. Usually it's 2 or 3 stages of filters, sometimes 4, and they get pricey. And there are some systems where they don't diversify those filters. It's an all-in-one that you just pull out and put in the new one, which makes them even less economical because the expensive portion of that being the activated charcoal and the heaviest part of it is usually fine for an extended period of time if the first filters are doing the job they're supposed to.
Yep.
So,
and that's where they get you is they make, it's just like anything else. They make the hardware the cheapest they can to be, oh wow, that's only $700. I can do that. But then you got to use their proprietary stuff. So RT Go says, are there any LightBurn power and frequencies test templates for a fiber laser?
You can generate your own in about 8 seconds.
And I think there are some for the uninitiated or unwilling that have been posted to the download section of the Laser Everything website. If you go to the community project database, you can find ones that other people have uploaded there to share with the community for free. So I would check there as well.
If you want to generate your own, hit up Laser Tools in the top of LightBurn and use the material test tool. And you can just tell it how many grids you want, what you want to change, and it will get you going very quickly.
And the reason I made sure to... Oh, Alex is gone. Okay. I was going to say, the reason I made sure to tap that question first is because that ties into Gar's question, which is there a way to determine the upper and lower frequencies when you want the most range? I think that's what they mean by on a surface, like a substrate maybe. And that's where you could do a test setup like we were just talking about, or like Kyle was explaining. The other thing is if you're just talking about how do I find the lowest frequencies and the highest frequencies, that's actually in your laser settings.
Yeah,
so
you would want to...
Don't always rely on that. I would look at your source.
You want to look at the model source. Yeah. I would literally pull the side panel off of your laser and look at the actual laser source. There's like a genuine JPT or genuine Rakis or genuine Max or GZ Tech or whatever brand you have for the source itself inside the machine, and look up the model number. It'll tell you what the frequency curve is. I can't tell you how many Rakis sources that come with like 50 to 100 or 200 kilohertz frequency in the settings, but it only works 30 to 60.
Another resource for that too, once you have the model number, you can go back to the downloads page on the Laser Everything website in the download section, and we have the spec sheets available for download for most modern laser sources from the big 3 companies, so you can take advantage of that as well.
Cuban Crack says, hey, for pictures, do you guys recommend both Photoshop and AI or just one or the other?
So without getting into that too much, I linked him just after that to the Ultimate Photo Engraving Guide, which goes into great depth about why you use what you use, when you use it, alternative softwares, everything you need to know. I would it's far more complicated than we can really get into. The answer is Photoshop, but I'm not going to get into why now.
Because there's a really good video on it.
It's a great video. I think I spent longer on that video.
It's a long format video.
I was
ever
about to
done on the
say
channel.
I had to piecemeal that one because like I couldn't sit that long and do so. Like,
Yeah.
just be prepared either to sit and really watch it and take note. But really, the nice thing is you get to rewatch it. Like, I
Yeah.
kind of just flagged certain parts and wrote down like, okay,
Yeah.
30 minutes to 35 minutes. Go
Mhm.
back.
Yeah,
So
give that one a watch.
Frank said, would you recommend the autofocus 80 watt 20 by 28 or the manual focus 100 watt 20 by 28 from Omtech? I can fit them if I remove the base and put them on their side. So I guess they're saying, what do you think's a better machine?
Wait, what? You put the laser on his side?
Yeah, they say
to get it through the door. Yeah,
Oh.
I have the same problem.
Yeah, me too.
The fuck?
I would say it depends on how strong or weak you are. If you don't want to sit there and twist the dial all day, raising and lowering the Z-axis, and you can only afford one of those options, grab the autofocus. They work fine. And you can always adjust the autofocus precision from within LightBurn, so it's editable. You're not stuck with how they ship it from the factory. If you don't care about that and you're fine turning the stupid little knob to raise and lower your Z-axis, then the more power the better, bro. I mean, until you get into the multiple hundreds of watts, you're going to appreciate that extra power, especially if you want to start getting into like 1/4 inch cutting. If you have any plans on doing 1/4 inch cutting, that extra 20 watts on the high end is going to make a really big difference for you. So that's
like,
my input.
I'm literally cutting acrylic back here with the 150 tonight, and I'm able to just fly through. So like that extra wattage is absolutely correct.
The other thing I'll add too is the tube replacements and the size of the tube, the physical tube length. The machine itself isn't spanning the entire size of the tube. The tube is actually longer than the machine. So you have like a little enclosure that sticks off the side of it to kind of protect the tube and the wiring going to it and the cooling tubes. I don't know if the Omtech 20 by 28 has a different size shroud based off of whether or not you're getting an 80 or 100 watt model, but that's something that I would maybe ask support and determine if you have a space limitation, because the actual size of the machine is the machine, but the tube is bigger. So just keep that in mind. I believe it's like 4 feet for the actual main housing, and then the tube extension box thing that covers it is like an additional amount of space.
Yeah, the dimensions should be on the website. I think they do account for that. So if you check out the dimension, the shipping dimensions, it will give you a pretty good idea what you need to make space for.
Yeah, and the actual replacement cost of the tube. So if you're only doing light engraving, you're not doing a ton of cutting, and you really don't see yourself needing that extra power, but maybe nice to have, weigh your options there and see what the replacement cost is for you, because the tubes don't last forever when you're using them. So Mike C says, can you guys compare and contrast a Haoshin JPT UV with the Macron Ingu? Me and Alex have been slowly working on it.
The Haoshin and the Macron are different machines, and the JPT and the Ingu are very different sources, to the point where it's almost apples and oranges. I mean, the only thing they have in common is their wavelength. Everything from the way the beam is generated and moved through the source, and pulse durations available to you, and the current that it's pulled, like everything is different. Everything that could possibly be different about these two sources is different. And that's made it very challenging for us to be like, oh, this one's better than this one, or this one does something. Like, we can't even compare things because it just turns into like random chaos every time we try to match each other's pace on something. And we both have a great list of settings, and stuff is effective, but we can't tell you why.
One is different than the other.
Yeah, it's like if I give you a temperature in Celsius, you can convert that and tell me what it is in Fahrenheit. But with this machine, I can't give Kyle a setting and he can't like do some math and then like spit something out that works on the JPT. There's not a bridge there.
Kyle and I were literally sitting here. This is what is this, Delwin or something? I don't remember what I called it.
Delwin.
There you go. Like, and I was sitting here and I have a customer who wants 150 of these engraved and he wants white. And so I don't know if you can make me big or see, but basically Kyle was like, yeah, actually I do have an experimental setting for that. Here you go. And so you can see the one he gave me that was supposed to be white came out like a gray gold almost. And then Then Kyle's like, well, actually, if you change the speed on that, that should give you the color you want. And it actually gave me like more of a gold versus gray. So the first one was this guy. I changed what Kyle thought would work. And then I was like, well, let me just try to mess with the power. And so Kyle's like, I don't think that'll do it, because on his it wouldn't, but on mine it did. And that's what that's what the guy approved. So if that helps you understand.
That's between two JPTs.
Yeah.
That's two similar sources.
Yeah.
5 watt air cooled JPT.
Same model number.
Granted, by the way, that
same
could
manufacturer.
That could be the material, could be like the surface because it does have a texture on the surface. So there's lots of little things like that.
But still,
that
when
make it tough to
comparing it
judge.
to the Ingu source, it's like Japanese to English. I mean, it's like they're not even remotely close.
The comparison I would give it to is it's nothing like going from a rakis to a JPT or a Max.
No,
because those we can kind of math and adjust, and we can assess like, oh, well, this has a lower pulse width passively to this, so we can adjust the power a little bit to get the same effect.
Yeah,
it doesn't work the same way, unfortunately.
And we still don't know why.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure that out. We spend a good amount of time on that, and of course we have other things going on too, and videos to produce. So we don't always have time to work on it, but we are working on that. So when we learn why, I think we'll be a little more vocal about UV in general. But there's still definitely some shadows masking some answers.
Yeah.
For us right now on that. So we're working on it.
Okay, so this is from Jobs Account. Seems very legit. How do you guys find customers for your work? Do you make things for Etsy? How do you know what to make? And it ties into their second question too. So I'll just kind of tie these together. Also, do any of you do laser stuff as a full-time job? How much of that is custom work versus mass production / Etsy? Looking to start a laser biz myself.
I'm going to go ahead and take a nap. This is all you guys checking out.
Yes, is kind of. We actually just talked about this, I guess, 2 weeks ago because I wasn't here last week.
Oh, the business one that we did.
Yeah. And so literally, like, we basically talked about it. It really, go back, I guess, 2 episodes now. And really, it's going to be your own business model. So the first step before you do anything and buy anything is, do you have a business plan, right? So because that's going to dictate what machine you buy. It's going to dictate what materials you purchase. It's going to be cost analysis. And I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but long story short, if my suggestion is always, okay, what 3 products am I going to make with this laser that's going to make me money that people don't already make, that I don't have to race to the bottom for? If you don't have an answer, you might just be buying a hobby machine and then trying to throw some stuff in there to work on it. And that's fine too. Like, if you're really going to start a laser business to take the place of your current major income source, you have to develop a business plan. I'm going to throw a shout out to the Laser Lounge. Alicia Pate just did a great Monday. Like, if you don't know the Laser Lounge, I'm one of the admins over there. Go check it out. Alicia every Monday does basically Mondays with Alicia in May, and they have coffee and they talk about business related subjects because they are all about hustling and making that money. I would really suggest go over there and take a listen. Literally the last question that they asked on Monday, her and her husband James discussed, why do you have a laser business? And if you don't know that, then what are you even doing? Yep. And it's a fair question to ask. And then just go back through that YouTube channel they've got, because she focuses very much on business. And I would say 2 episodes ago from us, we had a great discussion. Take a look at the podcast would be my short answer to keep this under wraps. But yeah, so step 1, figure out what 3 products you're going to make, because that's going to dictate all the rest of your choices. So, and then when you kind of figure that out,
and be prepared to make more, because at the end of the day, maybe those 3 products don't gain traction for the first 6 months.
Yeah, shout out to
keep making products, keep doing development.
Go listen to the episode of the Laser Source podcast where we just did one about business, but before that we did one about with Daryl Aspen. We had a special guest on Daryl Aspen.
Yes,
excellent interview about kind of perseverance in the market and testing products and banging stuff out. That's a really good episode to listen to. There's a lot of good juice in there to be juiced. So those are definitely some good places. And of course, we love Alicia. Go, if you're not a member of the Laser Lounge, of course, go get down on that too.
Yeah, and that kind of covers up the next 2 questions someone had asked, which was, how did you guys start your laser business? Actually, this would be a great one for Alex, and I mean everybody can kind of tackle this one. Did you guys start at craft shows or nah?
I mean, I've told this story 80 million times. I started in my garage because I just moved to a new state, and my wife just took a job, and it was like, take a job now or do the business thing. And, you know, like we didn't have any money coming in, so I had to like decide right then and there. So we went for it, and it grew. Again, listen to the podcast. I've told this story 8 billion times in a million different frames of reference and context. So, you know,
Grabs the camera.
What about you, dude?
For me, I 100% focus on local market first. So I did craft shows for Christmas season came around at the right time for me. And we just did that to kind of get our name out there. And then we started doing more stuff for like local high schools and local wineries to kind of dabble in 2 different markets with different kind of, possible exponential growth if you kind of hit the iron at the right time, where like right now it's a graduation season. So like I just created a file. I mean, my first file for sale on Etsy where $5 you can make a pre-K through graduation photo frames. You can slide I had to design a thing on the back.
12, yeah.
Yeah, so you can slide the photos in there nice and smooth. You don't have to glue nothing down on it. Like that's kind of how I looked at it, is like do local shit first for me. I did local stuff locally because there's no competition in Southwest Michigan outside of going like an hour away. And then I said, okay, let me make an Etsy shop to sell just the files of the stuff I make that I designed. And it's kind of like a basic
passive income system.
Yeah, just a simple way of doing it, and just
help everybody else out. Yeah,
like I legit had a coworker say, "Hey, man, I'm a pole vaulter coach for the local high school. Can you make me a pole vault thing that makes a spike that goes into the ground so they can mark off where they start their pole vault at?" I said, "You got any ideas?" Yeah. He showed me a picture. I was like, "Yeah, sure, I got that." I literally had a patient cancel on me before lunch, so I took my lunch and that time. I went home, made the file, burnt the prototype, and came back to work within an hour and a half. And it was sitting there, and he ordered 20 of them. You know, like it's little hustles you got to do to kind of let people know you exist. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Like Etsy, man, you're a thimble in a fucking ocean. Local is for me is where we got to like be the big fish in a small pond, if you will. So that's kind of how my approach is dominate my local market and hope for a little minor successes on Etsy.
And I actually never had a public business.
And for me,
I went from buying a laser to diving in with Alex on the channel.
Yeah,
so.
I snatched you up. I snatched you up before you even had.
Kyle was explaining how to use fiber lasers to me before he had a fiber laser. He was like, "Well, theoretically," and I'm like, "What theoretically?" I mean, and I just was like that. I just kind of skipped that word and was like, "He knows what he's talking about." And the man knows. For me, I started off, I'm a teacher, so I started working I kind of made stuff, posted it to Facebook. Coaches at the school saw it. Yeah, I know, right? Coaches saw it. And then that kind of took off, and that's actually one of the things I'm writing a article about it currently for the Laser magazine from Robin.
Laser
and so
Focus.
that's Laser Focus magazine. It's I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but I'm doing a little article for it. And basically, it's kind of like Boy said, and actually Anthony said it too, and I can't find his comment anymore, but he said business to business is the way to go. And so the cool thing is by being able to create a portfolio with people from the school, I was able to kind of walk into businesses and say, here's a collection of things I've already created, and it works.
I'll also add to that too, real quick, that if there are businesses near you, and business to business is totally valid, it could turn into not only passive advertising, but repeat business if you find people who need stuff customized. If you have bars and restaurants near you that aren't major chains, you could engrave glassware for them. You could do coasters for them. You could do all kinds of stuff, right? And it doesn't even have to be food places. It could be, I don't know, the local golf place. Maybe somebody wants clubs engraved once a month or something. So there's so many options that you can dive into locally around you.
Motorcycle shop for me, random.
And when they ask, oh, who did this for you? Because you guys don't do this in-house. Now it turns into passive advertising and word of mouth. And you can drum up business from business to customer now.
Nicholas Gomez asked, and again, this is where you can, these are a lot of questions that have been answered. So some of these might be some new people. Why did you actually close your engraving business? Was it not profitable? Was it profitable?
Oh yeah. No, I closed my business because I like doing this much better. That's all. That's all. That's the only reason. It made plenty of money. It made enough money that we were able to have Miranda quit her job before we went full time on YouTube. So Miranda was able to quit her job and stay with the family or help out at the shop. And we were the name in our local area. And essentially, I had to choose what I wanted to do because I could give full time to my laser engraving business, or I could give full time to my YouTube channel. And I love hanging out with you guys. I love answering questions. I love getting to experiment and do like science projects. And that's all we do here, man, is just have fun and learn. And I would much rather be doing that. So shout out to our LMA supporters that allow me to do that, because without you guys, I'd still be doing the shop and we'd be putting out a video a month and they'd be grouchy. So it had nothing to do with its profitability. And I hear that misconception a lot. It's perfectly profitable, just not as fun. This is way more fun, and I prefer doing this. And I get to, again, thanks to our supporters. And
that actually ties in. You were just about to say thanks to our supporters, because that's literally the next question that was in the list was from Harlan. Oh, yeah. I need a good source for setting power, frequency, speed, different materials. Any ideas?
Laser Master Academy. It's the #1 place to support the channel. You get a bunch of bonus goodies for signing up, like access to our LMA parameter libraries, which include parameters for CO2 and fiber laser. I saw a question about UV. We don't have it yet for the reasons Kyle and I mentioned 20 minutes ago or so. Yeah, it's a whip. We're working on it. It's going to be different for everybody, and we're trying to figure out how to solve that problem. So but the fiber parameter library, we used to add a setting a week. And it's fairly complete now. So we don't change it very often. It's just kind of there as a perk. I wouldn't say it's the main reason to sign up. I'd say sign up if you want to support the channel. All of the settings that you can find on that parameter library are available on the channel for free already. And there's a parameter converter by David Christensen, which you can find on the channel. That is free, that you can use to convert the parameters for your laser system. So you could put the legwork in and do it yourself. But if you want them all like in a nice, neat packaged little file that you can kind of drag and drop, it's a nice bonus for signing up to support the channel. So you can check that out too.
Mas says best black spray paint for white canvas, MOPA fiber.
Literally just came into that. So this, before Jimmy passed, this was the stuff that he used.
Oh yeah,
Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Cover
gloss.
Yeah, and yes, Jimmy has a video on that, right?
He does on the channel. Yeah,
I legit just watched that this past weekend while I was burning some other shit for work down here.
Yep.
And I actually went and bought canvases and the paint and the sealant. Just I want to do what Jimmy did, just to do it once. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just to make a cool photo, just for shits and giggles, just to say, hey, what up, man?
Yep. Not to go too far into it, but me and Jimmy were talking about an idea with multicolor on that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Future video, maybe.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Spiritual follow-up.
Yes.
Nice.
So Laura had asked, boys, what is the name of your Etsy shop? Because she liked the idea of that file that you came up with. Plug yourself here.
I went ahead and commented in there for her.
Oh, okay. Yep, yeah. So that's in there for people. Because, by the way, that is something like my wife, like I told her about that. I was like, oh, yeah, Boyce is working on something cool. And she was like, oh, I love that. Oh, like just like the, oh. Yeah, like I was like, all right, calm down. Fucking Boyce.
He's bald, man.
White tie outfit that he's got on. He's like, what's up?
Body carved from marble.
Oh, yeah, that's what this is like.
But he's basically the thinking man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just
that's marble ice cream.
There it is, dude. That was it. He's cultured marble, dude.
Yeah, he's Rocky Road.
Willie says, Alex, is your laser source a JPT? I plan on cutting gold and silver. Alex has a couple JPTs. His 30 watt LP
30 watt
JPT.
LP. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then the other one's an 80 M7.
The SFX is a 60.
The SFX is a 60 M7. And then the new Macron, which I've barely even gotten to touch because I've been so busy, is an 80 watt. M7, which has the highest pulse power out of any of the JPTs. I really want to play with that. And then we have the 80 watt GM from GZ Tech. Yeah. And I'm super stoked to play with that. We're still going to do the fiber laser build project. It's taking me longer to get all of the components together than I wanted, because I'm being too picky, not because they're not available. I want really specific stuff. And also I haven't really had the time to put into it. Announcement, I guess. We are hiring a video editor at some point. We're not entirely sure who it's going to be yet. We're doing interviews. The long and short of it is I'm going to have a lot more time, and videos are going to start coming out way more frequently, because we have like 30 episodes backlogged that have been shot and just not edited. Pretty much. It's ridiculous, and I just don't have time, because we're doing the LMA, we're Facebook, Discord, we've got the marketplace. I'm just stretched too thin.
You're a little selfish, in my opinion, because you're like, oh, my children need a father, and my wife who's pregnant needs a husband.
Not even counting that.
Kind
we're moving in like a month and a half, and we've got a baby coming in like a month and a half. On top of all of that work stuff that I just listed, and more work stuff that we haven't even talked about. I mean, like, what happened to LETV? Somebody asked that last week. I'm like, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I want to work on that kind of stuff, and I can't even like edit the videos that we have to edit now. So I don't remember why we started. Oh, because we're talking about like
announcement.
Yeah. So we're going to be getting to that stuff that we talked about earlier in the year when we did like the roadmap. We had this big 2023 roadmap with all these plans and stuff. It's coming, but I think I did not want to relinquish control over the editing. And I really didn't. And I think the team as a whole kind of finally convinced me to just let it go. So we're gonna find the right person for this, and the quality content will not change over my dead body. I will just go back to editing again if I have to, but that'll let me spend more time on cool stuff like the fiber laser build project, actually launching the marketplace. We still have stuff to do for that, and all of these other projects and ideas and fun things that we always say we're going to do and we haven't quite gotten to yet. Alex is about to have a lot more time. So
for real, the video editor is going to significantly
open up your life.
The bottleneck is the video editing.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
literally, it'll be 2 a.m. I wake up to give my sick child medicine. I look on online, and Alex is there, and it's like, "You awake?" Working. Always.
Yeah. You up, bro?
Yeah, I never stop, and it's just like, I don't know.
Booty call.
To go back to Willie though, because it's not all about you, Alex. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. But yeah, to go back to Willie, I have a 50 watt JPT. He's like, I'm out of this bitch.
You, man.
Either that or his what do you call
Camera
it?
No, not today. No. I'm just I'll take a second out of the spotlight.
All right. So JPT 50 watt is what I've got, Willie, and I actually just was telling the guys before. That's why the show started off with me talking about this ring. Is I went to the local jeweler and I actually was talking to him about working with them and doing some work for him. And I got this ring that I'm going to engrave because my wedding ring doesn't fit because I got fat. What am I going to say? And then the other thing is I plan on cutting some gold and silver too in the near future. So I'm pretty excited about that.
You switched from a rakis to a JPT, right? And you were having trouble cutting silver, I think?
Yes.
Make sure your source type is the same. Or copper, sorry. Make sure your source serial is set properly in LightBurn. Go to device settings and make sure your source serial type is set properly. It should be.
You literally just have to click it. That's a huge one. Alex, turn your camera on. He probably was just digging his butt.
I changed it.
It should be set to IPG YLP or YLPM probably.
Angry Garage says, any more light source videos from your trip?
Yeah, I just saw that one. So there's about a dozen full feature-length episodes, and that kind of swings back around to the editing. That first episode with the chillers was a 3-day edit, about 12 hours a day. So yeah, maybe I suck at editing. I don't know, but
not efficient.
I think I demand too much perfection out of the edits, so they take me a really, really long time. I end up watching the episode like 10 to 12 times maybe through slowly as I'm chopping and moving things and changing graphics. So the editor will help with that. But yeah, there's plenty more. The first episode did not do as well as I thought it would, but the content will be a little bit different for the remaining episodes. We've got some we've got some thanks, honey. We have some
honey bunny.
laser kind of, I don't want to say reviews, they're not really reviews. We have some kind of laser overviews episodes that we're going to be doing. We're comparing a tube with a built-in beam combiner against one that doesn't, with laser power meters to see how the power is affected by beam combiners. That's really cool. Of course, we have the tube smashing video where we smash the tube. That's excellent. That'll be a lot of fun. And a couple other like fun skits and sketches and odds and ends things in there as well. So there's lots of stuff. It's just not cut. So when that gets cut, it will definitely be going up. And there's certainly a lot more to come from that.
All right. I think this might be one of the last questions I've seen here because I've been scrolling. But Moss had a good question. Dust from slate engraving in my enclosure, is it able to actually seep into the Galvo head?
If everything is tight, it shouldn't, but it's not like our Galvo heads are rated with like an IP rating,
there aren't
right?
any
So
gaskets on it that I am
yeah.
Galvo heads don't have fans. They're not like vented. They use heat sinks to sweat their heat. So there shouldn't be any openings in it unless you have the lens off. That would be the big thing.
That's a no-no anyway. Don't do that.
And also exhaust.
Yeah. Exhaust. And
big
I was going to worry about anything, worry about your case with your source in it. Make sure, open it up. If you haven't opened your fiber laser case yet, open it. I'm talking to all of you. Open it up. I think
he has that separate. He has a split system with a separate enclosure around just the.
But yeah. Dust bunnies, anything like get the, again, buying guide, pick up the data vac, stop buying compressed air, pick up like a little data vac, blow the thing out, check the screens in front of the vents, all that stuff, and get all of that buildup out of there. That's what I would be concerned with, not the Galvo head.
Stephanie said, first time seeing the channel and you guys are live. Win. Welcome, Stephanie.
No. What's up? Welcome.
He's like, oh,
my hands were up.
It was at this time he knew he fucked up.
It was at this moment that he.
I had something else.
It was really good too.
I wanted to talk about really quick. I wanted to talk about the LightObject sponsorship. For the first time ever, you're going to see the little video includes sponsored content tag on the channel. LightObject did not sponsor this trip. I just want to be perfectly clear about that. We spend the majority of the trip talking about LightObject's product, but LightObject actually did not sponsor the trip. The companies that LightObject works with did, which are SPT Laser Technology. They make glass tubes. ECO2, also known as JK Laser, who makes glass CO2 laser tubes. And Trosin, the second biggest laser controller manufacturer in China. Those three companies sponsored the trip. And I just want to be really clear about that. I don't want people to watch the LightObject show and think LightObject paid me to go make it. Those three companies are the money behind it. And they had to pay for it in order for us to get out there and do our thing. We had 2 people, 2 nights at a hotel, 2 round-trip plane tickets, all the food that we ate while we were there. That stuff adds up. So it was nice to have those expenses covered so that I didn't have to pay for that. I just wanted to mention that. I know that not everybody's going to hear or see that, but I didn't want there to be a mystery about who sponsored it. I put it in text in the intro on purpose about the sponsors. So that
because that is the first time ever.
Important. Yeah. Miranda says YouTube just tags anything that was sent for free, provided for review, etc. as sponsored content. And that's important too. While we're on the subject, I'm not going to get too ranty here, but if you have a TikTok channel and you are reviewing, $10 bars of soap and you don't buy them and you get them all for free, that's one thing where it's okay, I get you're an affiliate or whatever. In this industry, I think it's unreasonable to expect us to buy every laser we review. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Matt,
I myself. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Toe picks, man.
As always, guys, all of the
got those
thoughts
Frodo
and
feet.
opinions in our video are completely and solely our own. We will not take money for reviews, positive or otherwise, and we have a huge list of terms that companies need to accept before we take items for reviews. If you want to review those, I'll actually drop the link. I just want to get this.
Alex
all
does
out in
have one sponsor that shows up in every video. Do you have one with you right now?
No, dude, I haven't had one in a long time.
What? Never mind.
Yeah,
It's Pepsi.
It's
Oh,
not Pepsi.
God,
Oh,
just
you're
shut your mouth, Kyle. Remove.
fired. Here's a
remove.
link though to here's a link to our partner review agreement that talks about just kind of the ethics of how we review things, what we accept, what we don't accept, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out at the link that I dropped down there. But that's it. Okay, rant over. Sorry about that.
So there was two more questions that popped up that are good.
One was from
That is one.
ET Laserworks. Kyle, was the rotary table you made live on live stream, was that your own cutout or did you download it from another source? We made that live during the live stream. I did mix it up in the process. I skipped one of my own steps because I'm a doofus. So I am remaking that video as a video. And also that will include instructions for both use on EasyCAD and eventually LightBurn, assuming that the process doesn't change too much on LightBurn. It is still in beta. We made that. And actually, after I fixed the file, I uploaded it to the community projects page on our website. So if you want to check it out, if you want to make your own, cut it out of whatever material you want, the file is there. It's open to everybody. I'm happy to share.
This is from Bullish Bowser. Replaced EasyCAD with LightBurn. So far, it's great. Text on screen is flip-flopped on the material, though. What am I screwing up? Thanks. Love the channel.
You said Bullish Bowser, and I was like, Jack Black's here.
Dude, right? I'm so excited for that movie.
Me too. I'm going to take Felix to the drive-in to see it. Sorry.
Nice.
Anyway.
Focus. Inefficient.
Text is flip-flopped on the material. What am I screwing up? Check your axis. Your X and Y axis are each assigned to a Galvo, and you probably just have it assigned to the wrong one on the X. So depending on the orientation of your laser. So a little flipsy-doo-dah there, and you're good to go. I would recommend running the, of course, the lens correction wizard core file on EasyCAD, and then importing that into LightBurn, and then you won't have to mess with that. It'll sort all of that out for you automatically. But the quick fix is just to do a little flippity flop on the x-axis in your Galvo there. And that
very specifically, it'll fix the orientation and skew problems, but specifically the orientation problems if you align the picture properly.
Yeah.
So make sure you rotate the picture so that it matches your actual output.
Dave got his Wisely 60 watt.
Word.
Nice.
Hey,
we love that.
Up and running.
we're twinsies.
There you go.
Good. We like it.
So we're at an
Seriously,
hour
man.
and 9 minutes, by the
I
way.
was supposed to
Also, Jim's here. Jim is going to be joining us soon.
Jim.
Sorry, boys.
I've talked to
Nice.
Jim many times about bringing him on the podcast. I've been on Jim's podcast. I went on Jim's podcast a very long time ago.
Is he on the edge of it?
He's on the edge of it, dude. The bleeding edge of coming onto the show. And if you haven't checked out Jim's channel, I can't imagine how you could not have heard about the Edge of Tech by now. But if you haven't seen it, go obviously check that out. But
Cool, dude.
hopefully we'll have Jim on really soon. I want to hang out with Jim, dude. I want to talk to Jim.
Yeah, Jim is awesome.
Yep.
Can't wait to hang out more.
All right. Last question for the night. Because it's an hour
It's
and
like
10
for the
minutes.
fifth time.
Yeah, well, but I said these are the last two, and then people ask good questions, but this one was fair. So I'm starting a disc golf business, making custom metal tags as well as wooden mini disc, which is cool. So what laser would you recommend? Gantry CO2, Galvo CO2, or a MOPA fiber?
That's a rough one because you're talking about metal and wood.
UV.
Well, if it's powder coated metal, you could go to the CO2 on both of them.
Yeah,
right?
so you can get away with the CO2. I would not start with a Galvo CO2. I wouldn't ever recommend anybody start with a Galvo CO2 for anything ever. So just scratch that off the list. If you don't already have a laser, don't buy that. So I think probably the gantry CO2. That way you can do either anodized and coated metals and organics. Or if you have a higher budget, you could look at something like a UV laser, which will mark most metals. Not engrave, mark most metals, and it will do amazing work on stuff like organics, like wood. So
Point behind you. point behind you, Ranger.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah, the Ranger right there.
For those flat objects that he's talking about, and there is like the Ranger's. What's the Ranger's Z depth? 4 inches?
No, dude, longer than that. 6,
5.5.
No, I mean it dropped. Doesn't it drop 4?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah,
8.
that's what,
Let me go look at it.
So, but the reason I'm pointing at the Ranger is Alex just went and got to play with these at LightObject, the newer iterations, but he also has it back there. And if you're doing flat objects like those, the good thing about getting the CO2 gantry, in my opinion, is it also opens you up to cutting because of the continuous beam. And so you can actually cut your tags. You can do really cool custom trophies.
At least 6 inches.
Okay. That's what I was just saying is I think that'd be the better option.
Nice.
Because you can do all the stuff you want to do, but also it opens you up to creating like trophies and all kinds of really cool stuff.
You're not cutting with the UV.
No. I'm talking about the gag, that guy.
No, yeah, so, I know. I'm agreeing.
So if you're doing marking, if you're just doing marking, then that. But if you're doing, if you want to open yourself up, hey, Bullish, thanks, man.
What up?
Big time, man.
No.
I'll press the button.
Guys, thank you.
Laura says she's our neighbor, Alex. Sort of.
Where's Laura?
I don't know. She didn't say.
People keep bringing up, let's do next week if you want, Alex. I'm on the edge of my seat just thinking about it. Done. Next Tuesday.
The email us.
Next Tuesday, confirmed at 9:00 p.m. EST. Maybe
Alex,
9:30. I think a little later is a little easier for Jim.
Yeah.
9 or 9:30 next week. Jim,
we'll figure it out.
Coming on the Laser Source podcast.
Hey, Alex, you got his email?
His email.
I got him.
Okay, just let me know and I'll send the.
We're gonna send a carrier pigeon.
Yeah,
we're
the
Facebook
Edge of
buddies.
Tech, 1899.
I'm an owl.
A howler.
You guys suck.
But he had a good question too. There's so many good questions. Shit.
I know. I'm just gonna keep going. I
all right. Yeah, that's fair. All right. I don't have a life.
Resin is asking: is a MOPA laser the only type that can mark or engrave PLA? I've not had great PLA success with fiber in general, MOPA or otherwise.
What's PLA stand for, first of all?
Polylactic acid. It's common in 3D printing. UV is really the right answer for that.
It's
to be honest. Pro tip: don't engrave ABS ever.
Ooh, yeah.
That's cyanide, right?
Yeah, cyanide problems with that.
Cyanide problems.
And if you don't have a fume extractor, you're even in even bigger trouble.
The good news is you won't need one
don't do
because you'll be dead.
Yeah.
Just saying, like if you're huffing cyanide for funsies,
don't do that.
Don't do that.
All right, what's the next one? Oh, Edutech had a question. Jim had a question. Yeah. I got one for you. How do I find what the peak power is on my 30-watt JPT MOPA? Hope I'm asking that right. Basically, when is it at the maximum power so I can use that for engraving?
I'll look it up for you, but the spec sheet is on the Laser Everything website, the download section, which we've shouted out a few times tonight. And usually the answer is either do every single frequency with the same power and see which one hits the hardest, or find out what the model number is for your laser source and then look it up, which is what I'm about to do for you right now. So I will let you know.
Bamboo Lab printers.
Let's see spec sheets. In fact, I'm going to actually show this really quick, guys. I want to show people where you can get this.
Have one, Jim.
Get this information.
I've actually been thinking about ordering one.
I know.
I need a 3D printer in Bamboo Labs.
So here we are, guys. LaserEverything.net. You're just going to come up to the resources section right here. We're going to check out the downloads, and we've got all kinds of stuff in here, whether you're looking for copies of EasyCAD, manuals, spec sheets, reference material, and this is the community project database. So this actually has like all of people's projects that they've uploaded. Check this out or add to it if you're feeling, generous. But
that's where the rotary jig thing is.
We're looking for a spec sheet. I believe Jim has the LPE 30-watt LP, so this should be his laser source right here. Unless it's the MOPA, I don't think it's the M7, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be this. And then we will take a look here, and we are looking at, it's got the maximum pulse energy, it's got the range, so this would be our range in 1 to 600 kilohertz.
Pulse duration is locked at 200.
But I don't actually see it on the spec sheet, which is kind of bumming me out. I think it's around 37 kilohertz. Oh yeah,
Vince no
says
bucks for the
37
prize.
So I don't know actually where you would get that if you didn't have it. Most lasers come with like a little graph, and it's like a bell curve, and you can see where it spikes over the different frequencies. If yours didn't come with that, I don't have a good answer for you at the moment, which is disappointing. So that'll give me something to do tonight.
I like Beam It Up Laser Works. Anthony's at a good 30 to 35 usually, like somewhere around like somewhere, yeah.
Maybe.
So he's a pretty smart guy there with that one.
But you got to be careful because on like the rakises, right, that are like 50 to 80 kilohertz, it's going to be like 56 or 65 or it changes. So 37 is a good place to start if you have a JPT.
If you have a piece of paper that came with the laser, it's usually like a manufacturer test output page, and it'll say what the frequency was for the maximum rated pulse energy, and it's a kilohertz rating, and it's usually within a line or two of the rate range, which if you have an LP source is 1 to 600. If you have a M7 source, it's 1 to 4,000.
By the way, real quick, some not drama, it's good drama going on in the comment section. If you guys aren't following along, I'm loving the community we have. Laser of Love Creations was just gifted a mini membership, like the YouTube membership, by Blonde Fox Creations. That was really cool.
That's real cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that was really sweet.
We also got $19.99 from Bullish Bowser. Thank you so much, buddy.
We already celebrated that, and you were so focused on your answering questions. What a jerk you are, Kyle. God.
I'm so sorry.
Being focused on helping people.
Thank you again, and also thank you, Laura and Fox.
Okay, check it out. So I refuse to give up. So I actually went from my quick copy spec sheets to the actual hardware manuals, of which we have far fewer, but I do have it for the LPE 30 watt LPS. And if we consult this chart here, we can see our full power frequency range starts at 37 kilohertz, and there's your answer right there.
Boom.
So that's it. Bingo. 37.
Vince Snowbucks, you will be receiving a prize in the mail.
Yeah.
I don't know who's sending it, but it's coming.
So anyway, guys, I just wanted to show off that resource and make sure that you guys knew this.
There's so much good stuff there.
Yeah, this is a great, guys. The website is designed all about like giving you guys to use. We have this links page over here that has a bunch of links to different services that you can use to like get your business started. Very, very few of these are even affiliate links. It's just dope stuff. Yeah, we have Kyle and I are very slowly working on the wiki. We're going to have a lot more in this soon when we have an editor. This is one of the projects that's just kind of been sweating here on the side, but there's a lot of very common questions in here we're trying to get answered for you guys. So when we answer them on like the LMA or stuff like that, they usually will make it into the wiki, which we're working on. We also have the LMA. Obviously, go sign up for the LMA. We have a forum that we just opened as kind of like a backup community. So if anything ever happens to the channel, the forum is here. We can kind of all meet up here and decide what to do next. Our Discord server and Facebook group, obviously 100% free. Join those if you haven't already. The buying guide's here, Laser Everything Marketplace. We're working on it. We have the buying guide, every single thing that you could possibly need for your lasers from our favorite sellers. We give you multiple options on places to buy them, so you're not like locked into one place. You can shop around and check out all that kind of stuff. So I really recommend checking out the buying guide if you haven't already looked at that. We have our merch shop. If you haven't seen the merch shop, go look at our merch. We've got the shows page. You can search every episode on the channel right here. Every episode, you can search it right there. And we also have the Laser Source podcast here. So if you want to listen to the show in the future, you've got all of these links down here to be able to do that as well. And I'm going to actually plug this really quick since we are kind of getting to the end. Please, 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 if you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, rate and review it. Leave us 5-star rating, write a little review, and let people know that the show has been helpful for you. It helps us so much to be able to get in front of a larger audience on Apple's end. And Apple dictates a lot about how other podcast services serve content to listeners. So doing it there makes a big difference. So if you have an iTunes account, if you have an Apple phone or whatever, and you have 3 minutes, please go rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. It makes a really big makes a really big difference for us.
By the way, Vince, that thing I was joking about Vince winning a prize, but Willie was like, "Oh yeah, whatever happened to the knives?"
The knives, the knives are
thing.
here. I just saw them today. Actually, I'm literally.
Remember how Miranda said he's inefficient?
Yeah, here's Willie's note that he wrote me with the knives, and the knives are all here in the drawer, and we do have to give those away. We should probably just do it on a live stream, I guess, because
right. Vince found that information and had it for you.
I'm never gonna. Yeah, we're just not. It's a time thing, Willie. I very much so intend to give those away. They're sitting right next to my desk. I haven't been able to do it yet. Oh, Jim! Thank you so much. $20. I just Kyle, push the button. We gave you the soundboard for a reason.
I was reaching.
Oh my god. Thanks for finding that, guys. See you next week. Bro, never been more stoked, Jack, to have you on the show, man.
On the edge of our seats.
Can't wait to hang out.
I just realized that your thing says, "What are you doing, Step Laser?" What the I just saw that.
Oh,
Come on,
Like
man.
the very end, I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, I was like, a beard in progress. I feel clever tonight, and I got that shit below me.
What do you? Oh, go listen to Emergency Stop, guys. If you haven't already listened to it, listen, guys. This show is doing well. It was a bit of an experiment at the beginning, but this is really turning into something special. Have a hard time making friends. Yeah, that's
not for when you have kids around.
Have a hard time making friends, tormented or traumatized, lonely, weird, all of the above.
That's us
too. Sometimes it's best to hit the emergency stop, take a beat, and have a laugh. We can't change our circumstances, but we get to control what we allow to affect us. Alex, Miranda, Kyle, Jimmy, Matt, and Boyce, I don't know why your name isn't on this, get together once a week to talk life, share stories, and relish in some dark humor. If you need a break from the real world, you're more than welcome to have a seat. It's all downhill from here. This is Emergency Stop, guys. It's our non-work related podcast that we try very hard to do weekly. It's very funny. It is very inappropriate,
traumatizing,
regularly borderline offensive, and extremely dark. So if you have a dark sense of humor and you're a little depressed, if you're a stressy depressy, like the four of us, or I guess
what's
the three
it
of
with
us.
you in rhyming words tonight? Give a little flippity floppity.
Flippity floppity, dude. Stressy depressy. Boyce is pretty happy. The rest of us are sad, and Boyce used to be sad. So
I'm alive and I'm not even on the description. That's fucked
I know.
up.
I don't know what's up with that, dude. I don't know what's up with that.
That's funny.
Dave, thank you, buddy.
Dave.
Kyle.
Nice.
Go check. Thank you, Dave, for the $7 through the chat, bro. Appreciate you. Go listen to Emergency Stop. I want you to turn this off, put your kids to bed, put the earmuffs on them, and then go listen to Emergency Stop. You can start on any episode. Just don't start on episode 6.
Don't start on episode 6. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And I think that's all we've got for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Laser Source Podcast. We love and appreciate every single one of you. I can't wait to see you next week for Jim, Edge of Tech.
Super pumped.
Boyce is going to go get his tie and his collar. That's the after show. Members only. Tickets, please.